Hello, beautiful people. Welcome to your message. I hope it's not too loud in the background. I really like this spot, but there's like an air conditioner and a pool pump. But I felt called to do the message right here, right now. I asked Spirit, they were like, nope, it's happening right here. So we're here. We're going to get right into it. I'm going to pull you an animal guide here. Spirit, what animal guide for this collective wants to come through for the message today? What animal guide would like to come through here? Elk and sea serpent. Very interesting energies. With earthworm on the bottom of the deck. Okay. Immediately, for some reason, with elk and sea serpent, I got some sort of boundary around the sacral chakra, the sacral region, creativity, sensuality, sexuality, movement, flow, etc. But I'm also getting now here with elk, because elk is the masculine earth energy. It's a very strong, stable, sort of steadfast, father-like energy. And with sea serpent here being like, in this deck, it's where the Kundalini, the divine mother, resides. I get that possibly there's some need or desire to direct the creative energy through the masculine will or through firm structure. Because these are both like very, very developed energies. The sea serpent is the most developed form of the sacral chakra, and the elk is like the masculine in its highest form in the earth element. So I'm getting that this collective, you might be at a point now where you are really learning how to hold space for your creativity, hold space for your emotions in a way where they don't get away from you anymore. Maybe, confirmation burp. Maybe it's like, and with earthworm is about the beginner's mind. Looking at things with the beginner's mind, risking embarrassment by starting something new and not having any knowledge in it, but just kind of going for it and learning, just jumping in anyway, right? Kind of being like the amateur, the beginner. So maybe with this is it's like there's a newfound sense of freedom and embodiment you're finding in your anything to do with the themes of the sacral. So with your creativity, with your flow, your sensuality, your healthy sexuality, all these things. Maybe you've had trouble with this, emotional expression, using emotions to create, using emotions to, or just even feeling your emotions in the moment. Like, it's like, maybe in the past, it was like you were either just flooded with emotions, where it just all came out all over the place, all the time, or it was like hedonistic, like pleasure seeking to the point where it was like damaging, causing destructive, tendency. Or it was the opposite, where it's like you'd be very like dried up and just feel like the Walking Dead kind of thing, just like a zombie, like not alive, not feeling any vitality, not feeling your emotions, not feeling creative or vital. But I feel like you're getting with this elk card like a strong handle on this now. Like you're learning how to master the sacral chakra by not allowing it to just kind of do whatever it wants in the extreme all the time, because it's water, right? It's the sacral chakra is water. So if you just allow that water to kind of like become destructive, become stormy, become crazy all the time, or you let it dry out and you're not balancing it with like stillness, with stability, with reflection, with a strong intention, because elk also gives me like strong masculine intention, directing the energy, so that it is channeled and so that it flows in a way that is constructive rather than destructive. Confirmation. That was a loud horn. Yeah, it's like, that's exactly it then. You are learning how to direct and channel this well of sacral energy, because the sacral is also like, I've heard it, where's my word? Where's my word here? Maybe this is part of it. I've heard it referred to as crude oil, the sacral chakra. Like, it's full of this creative energy, but it's like crude oil in the form of crude oil, where it's not refined, but it's there and it's felt and it's very immense and powerful. So you're learning how to refine it. You're learning how to direct it. You're learning how to hold space for it, to feel it and to let it be free, but not so just boundaryless that it overflows, or not neglecting it to the point that it dries up, if you know what I mean there. And it's creating this whole new beginning for you. It's like you're seeing life in a new way. And the way you've had to deal with this has very much been almost like when you're teaching kids like manners, or teaching them how to control their emotions and their reactions, right? It's sort of like you've had to go back into that mode a little bit with this. Because for this collective, I'm getting that maybe you've gone so far in life where you had to use other parts of yourself that you just neglected this part of yourself. I'm noticing the Ouroboros on this card too, the sea serpent. Maybe you've just kind of been like running in circles, just like not getting anywhere, just kind of wheels spinning in the mud, feeling really frustrated, because frustration comes with the sacral as well. And it's almost like, yeah, now that you're feeling it and now that you're tapping into it, it feels childlike. Like it's almost like you feel exactly that, like amateur, or like a beginner in using it and wielding it, but you're doing it, is what I'm seeing here. And you're doing well. You're doing better than you think you are in that respect. So let's go deeper into this with the tarot. The Chariot. Oh. 5 of Cups. I'll see a Spirit. The Hanged Man in reverse. 3 of Wands. It's like wanting to be upright, but it's like pushing itself here. And then 7 of Pentacles on the bottom of the deck. Okay, we'll take that. Okay, big energy in the solar plexus. Right now, I felt like I needed to take a breath. Yeah. Okay, yeah, so the story here in front of me is the Chariot. You are used to persevering. You are used to really pushing through things. You're used to, I feel like with this collective, you are probably used to being more in the like dried up sacral chakra I was talking about, like that lack of vitality, that lack of inspiration, that lack of creative energy, because you're so used to like going against the grain of it. Like you're used to overly controlling, I feel, and like persevering, pushing forward, making yourself do things. Like you force yourself to do things in like an overly masculine way with this elk, because he can get very stubborn and very in his ego at times. So it's like, okay, yeah, yep. This always happens in these readings. It just kind of comes together partway through. But we need to talk it out. We need to talk it out, because there are messages in that too. So now I'm getting with this, I think maybe you've been overly controlled in your sacral area, where that control and that ability to channel and direct energy is so important, yes. But we can get so overly controlled. And that is like societal. It's built into society with like puritanical culture, like the Western world, North America at least, like where I am. is very based on a very like patriarchal, very puritanical religious foundation. So that has trickled down into the modern day. And so we're taught to, control ourselves and to restrict ourselves and not to allow ourselves to flow and be creative and indulge in pleasure. And, we see these things as so awful and bad a lot of the time. We're taught that they're awful and bad. But in moderation, they're beautiful. Like everything in moderation. And there's so much expansion and that's where creativity comes from, is in indulging in those things and in playing in those things. That's where new ways of being come from. It's childlike, it's innocent, and it's joy, but we've been taught that it's this bad thing, right? To explore ourselves, to find pleasure within ourselves, to find pleasure within the world, and to play in the world, and because it's always that vibe of, oh, you're just being immature, right? If you're playing as an adult, like you need to get back to work kind of thing. And that's with the Chariot, what I get is you're used to like you're very used to getting back to work. You're very used to pushing. But I feel like with the Five of Cups coming out right next to it, it's like, and the Hanged Man in reverse, it's like that constant push, although very admirable in your character, because we do need that in life as well, it's like it's caused you to lose perspective. Yeah, it's caused you to literally lose perspective with the Five of Cups and the Hanged Man reverse. Like lose perspective on who you really are and what you really want in life, because the sacral also tells us what we like desire at a deep primal level. And what I'm seeing is it's like you've lost that joy, you've lost that innocence in a lot of your life. And maybe it's coming back to you. Maybe, and not even maybe, I feel like it is for this collective. It's definitely, you experience moments of this joy, and it's coming back to you now, obviously in this reading, it's very relevant. But I also do feel that there's even more for you here. Like this Three of Wands at the end here tells me, this is the like your ships are coming in card. You're watching on the horizon as the ships come in that you've wrangled, that you've attracted, that you have pulled the pieces together for. So what I'm getting here too is it's like you've worked very hard. You've done so much work, and it's time for you to balance that with some play. It's time for you to balance that with some play so that you don't lose yourself in what doesn't really matter, because yeah, it's like we're taught that play doesn't really matter. We're taught that that's meaningless. Oh, that's child's play. That's meaningless. But so can working hard. Working really hard can also be very meaningless, and can also cause you to lose yourself more than you ever have. I know that from my experience. When I was working the hardest I ever had, when I was pushing myself more than I ever had, I felt the most like lost and miserable and exhausted that I ever had, and it didn't bring me anything. It didn't give me anything. maybe a sense of strength and like firmness and stability to an extent, but even then it's like it was overly so. It was rigid. It was too intense. It was like squeezing my creativity and squeezing my free time for all it was worth, squeezing my energy centers just to put that energy back into like hardening and rigid and just that overly masculine energy, right? So with Seven of Pentacles here on the bottom of the deck as well, that's about like taking a pause and like looking at how far you've come. You've been working hard. You've been working really hard. But taking a pause, knowing that your perseverance was also not for nothing. It's paying off. Like that part of you is beautiful. But Spirit's asking you not to lose perspective on this playful, receptive side of you either. This earthworm, this like, just try something new. Enjoy yourself. Don't Don't be afraid to mess up. Don't be afraid to be imperfect. Don't be afraid to let that, because the sacral energy, that creative raw energy, can also be very messy, but in a good way too. Like letting yourself experiment and make a mess like a kid would with their arts and crafts, or like their Play-Doh and their clay and their like drawing on the walls in the house. You know how it is. But trying to recreate like a space for yourself with that as an adult, because that's the healthy masculine, in tandem with the healthy feminine, right? The healthy masculine is, okay, an intention, a channel, an action. It gives boundaries to what you're doing, so that the feminine part of you, that creative, expressive, potential, unseen potential, can have time to unfold and reveal itself. So boundaries can be as simple as the boundary of giving yourself a window of time, a window of opportunity to just do nothing, or to just play, to just experiment, to get messy, to have fun. The boundary could be delegating. Like maybe there's finances that you could be using from one part of your life and moving it to this part of your life where you're investing more in play and fun and joy. Because that's one of the most productive things that we can possibly do in our lives, is play and have fun. I have such an interesting energy in this, y'all. It's like, it's light. I feel like I'm looking at these cards from a higher perspective than I normally would in a reading as well. Like my energy just feels very, it's like there is an exhaustion. Because even before I started this reading, it's like the message I got, I asked for a music message on my Spotify, and I got the song I Release Control. I release control and surrender to the flow of love that will heal me. And just like in my life, there's been a lot going on with pushing and working, but Spirit's like, I feel these messages recently in the last few days. Spirit's saying, let yourself play. Let yourself off the hook. Let yourself play, and also let yourself rest and flow in that, because that can be play too. It doesn't have to be like hard play, right? Like it doesn't, whatever that means for you. It doesn't have to be like it doesn't have to be you going out and just being wild and running around, and like, it could be that, and that can be very energizing. That can actually be restful and rejuvenating for the soul, but it could also just be like you just chilling, you know? Going for a nice little stroll, looking at the beautiful water, looking at the beautiful trees. Just like, I get a very Taurus energy from that. I'm a Taurus moon, so that's my preferred, that is my preferred modality, is very slow and very steady wins the race. Just very slow and chill, taking my time, taking in the senses of the world around me. That can be play just as much. So whatever it feels like for you, I feel Spirit's just saying, like, you're very strong in your masculine. Like, you have a very almost overly intense masculine a lot of the time in your life, the way you treat yourself, at least in that regard. And Spirit's saying, give yourself the balance of that feminine flow and creativity just as much, because we are in the middle of summer, midsummer. There is a very masculine energy already activated in the world, in the northern hemisphere at least. And so even in Kundalini yoga and in yogic practices, they will recommend doing the opposite, like the exercises for the opposite energy when the energy in the world is already very much on the one side of a polarity. So for summer, for example, the masculine solar energy is already very active. We're in the middle of summer, middle of Leo season, fixed fire action. So we're probably already feeling that. We're probably already doing that. And so in Kundalini, what they'll do in these times is activate the Ida channel, the feminine side of the body, the lunar force, the more introspective, cooling, intuitive, still, restful, unstructured side, just to bring balance. So that could be relevant to you in this collective today. Where do we want to go here, Spirit? Because I feel like that's all pretty much the reading. This might be a little bit of a shorter reading than my normal longer readings. I kind of want to see if there are any messages from the sacred creators now. What messages would like to come through here for the sacred creators oracle for this collective? Thank you all, by the way, for being here. I actually just received my first donation last night for a reading, and it really touched my heart. I have a link open for donations in my link tree, and it's been open for a really long time, and I've just had it there just in case. But I received my very first donation from somebody last night, and I did not expect it to affect me as much as it did, but just in my heart and the message there, I can't respond back to messages in that, but I just wanted to say thank you. My name was Austin. Thank you. That really, really made my night in a greater way than even just the money. Like, just the fact that that exchange was able to happen, it just really hit me in the heart, and just thank you. So thank you to Austin. I wanted to put that out in a video, and thank you to all of you for being here, because I've noticed such a huge increase in people on this channel recently, and it's just the community and the comments and the messages and the way that you guys are telling your stories and just the energy. I can feel it. Like, I feel it even when I'm not online. I feel it in my life. I just feel such a beautiful synchronistic, like, synergy. So I could gush about this for hours. Thank you, all of you, for being here. Anyway, back to the reading. Creator Alchemy just came out for you, and changes. Need I say more? That is literally what we're talking about here. Creator Alchemy. So you're being called into a deeper creativity at this time, to go deeper into that raw, infinite potential. I see it in, like, the metaphor, like the womb space. It's like void and dark, but there's infinite potential there, right? For life to be created, and that life can take on, like, so many different forms. And alchemy being the process of taking something that is whole, breaking it apart into its essential components, purifying those essential components, and bringing it back together as a purified, evolved version of the original thing. It's like you're being asked to play with this right now. You're really being asked to experiment with that and go deep into that, and to flow with the changes that happen. Because it can be like, the sacral can also be a destabilizing energy. It can feel like we're being taken on a ride. It can feel like, oh, the wind's coming. It wants to take my cards away. That's the message. It's like it can peel away parts of us. It can take parts of us and throw them over here and throw it over there, and we evolve, we transform in the process. But it's about surrendering and allowing yourself to experience that flow and experience the unfolding of that. Five of Swords, interesting, just popped out. Hold on, let me go get that card because I don't want it to blow away on me. So the Chariot just flipped over here, and the Seven of Pentacles flew over, and the Five of Swords came out underneath it. Interesting message. What does that mean, Spirit? Five of Swords usually talks about trying to win at all costs. Even if it's destructive, and even if in the end it's like the win isn't actually worth what it took to get there, and the pain and the destruction that it caused. So yeah, it's like, okay, yeah, so from that, I guess it's not worth it to keep, working so hard to the point that you're not getting to create either. Anyway, I think I'm just gonna leave that. I'll let you take from that what you will. You'll know what that means for your situation. Don't let your stubbornness or your work or that need to push forward take away from the childlike joy and wonder and innocence that there is in this creativity and in this time for you. And I think this time is going to just be an unfolding of beautiful flow. So let that be the case. That seems to be appearing for you. So I hope this message has resonated. I love you all very, very much. As I said, thank you so much for being here. And I hope this message helps. I will see you in the next one. Take care. Bye.